Welcome back, you guys, or if it's your first time here, thank you for stopping by Galadon Gaming. Yes, we're talking about playing the Nova clan. Now, this is a series of battles against Nova Canada, not necessarily just straight Nova. You've got to realize they have a whole family of clans, and yes, they are probably the most controversial clan out there. And unfortunately, it's because of the fact that there is something called win trading that can happen in Clash Royale. It's difficult for the developers to prevent it simply because when you have a large pool of players that are all kind of on the same side, it's pretty easy for them to decide if they want to win or lose to each other. Now, I'm not saying anything about these players in specific or Nova Canada in specific. I'm going to let the comments play it out. You guys tell me what your personal experiences are when it comes to win trading, because personally, I don't see it, but that's just because, well, let's be honest, I don't play competitively in the big tournaments, and I also don't shoot for the very, very top of the leaderboards. I am happy if I'm somewhere near the top 200 globally at the end of the season, or at least in the middle of the top 200 in the US. Beyond that, it's tough for me to get to the very top, and maybe, just maybe, this is part of the reason Nova players playing each other and certain players getting pushed up the leaderboards. So, I don't know. Again, I'm not looking to convict anybody of this, but it is a very hot topic of discussion in a lot of my live streams. And I know there was even a clan that was recently made to address this issue, to try to bring more attention to it, to encourage Supercell to try to do something about it. But maybe it's just one of those things that's super hard to control. I'm also looking for your ideas, your thoughts on how something like this could be prevented. Obviously, when you have a series of a family of clans, much like the full attack clans, it's difficult to prevent that many players from meeting each other in trophy play when you literally have hundreds upon hundreds of players that all are in the same alliance, or so to speak. Now, of course, the full attack family of clans, we do have a couple of hundred players at least. We've got 5 or 6 clans, all named after gemstones. You can find those by looking up FA and then the gemstone after the initials FA. But our clans are really more of a varied level. There's lots of different trophy levels in there. We're not all pushing for the top of the leaderboards, so it's very unlikely that we are going to meet another full attack player, although it does happen from time to time. Now, the other weird thing here is I actually ended up finding Joshua from Nova Canada twice in the same day, and I have a feeling that's just because this is early in the season, and this early in the season, somewhere around 4,500 trophies or higher, there's simply not that many players in the pool, and sooner or later, you're going to run into somebody else. Check it out right here. The miner for the win gets in there. My left lane was just about down. Good game from both players there. So, hey, nothing against Joshua. And again, let me make this very clear. I am not saying that Nova Canada win trades. I don't even know that Nova does. It's just what I hear. It's just the rumors that keep on spilling around. And so I'm curious to see what the comments drum up. So again, you guys, let me know, leave a comment down below as to what you think is happening. And better yet, let's not just complain about it. Let's try to come up with solutions. I would love to see what people think would be a good way to stop win trading as a whole. Now right here, unusual deck. This guy's got the graveyard and the bowler. Tombstone as well. Luckily, I had the skeleton army and he did not counter the skeleton army. One quick zap spell, and now my counter to the graveyard is gone. So that would have been big problems for me. Luckily, I was able to stop it and move on. Now, this guy's level 12, so he's not completely maxed out. He's got nearly maxed out cards, but I will take every possible advantage I can get, including the extra 300 or so hit points on the towers, because I need it. Come on, you guys. I'm not a top player like these guys. Nova, obviously, a top series, a top family of clans, and I'm just struggling along, man. I'm just a squirrel trying to get a nut. Sorry for that. Anyway, let's move on to the last minute 40 of this battle. There's the bowler coming down the left side. Check out his rear tombstone. That right there is usually a defensive move against the graveyard. And there comes his graveyard, again countered by the skeleton army. This is probably the best counter should you not get zapped. Now, obviously, there are some other great counters like archers to it, minions, but that was just so solid. Luckily, he didn't zap it out of the way. The boulder gets a couple of shots in, and now I'm pretty far ahead on his right tower. The princess doing a good job, always with the Mega Minion. It's just a matter of getting a couple of shots on it, and you'll always know your tower is going to finish the job. So now the miner gets in there. He is going to suffer some damage from the skeletons. So the tombstone, also a good defense against the miner, simply because the skeletons that come out are going to deploy and reduce the number of hits that miner can get. That fireball, I don't know. I mean, I realize not great to fireball a boulder, but I'm just trying to chip away at his tower right now so I can get it down. Here comes another graveyard. Skeleton army this time gets zapped, and check it out. Because the skeleton army gets zapped, I do lose over half, maybe 2/3 of that tower right there. The princess gets in there, helps out a little bit. Of course, in the meantime, I took his tower down, and now it's just a matter of holding him off for another 20 seconds, trying to hold off maybe one more graveyard onslaught. There it is, sure enough, trying to get the graveyard in with the bowler in support. But again, here comes the skeleton army, zapped out of the way one more time. Desperation princess, fireball in there, 5 seconds, 4-3 the log, and the graveyard is done, and so is this battle, just barely beating the level 12 player. And again, hey, these guys from Nova Canada, great manners. They both throw up the good game. No bad manners at all, and I have to say shout out to both of these guys for doing that. Even Joshua here, who I faced twice in the same day, so that's why I threw up the wow. I'm like, I recognize this guy. I just played him like a couple hours ago, and here he comes. Different strategy. This time he starts out with the Goblin Barrel. He's got the Inferno Tower. It does grab my Barbarians and my Hog Rider. Pretty aggressive move, I have to say, from my part, to drop the Barbs and the Hog Rider right at the start. I would almost always say it's never a good idea to start a battle with an 8, 9, or 10 elixir push. It almost always leaves you vulnerable to the big counter or an even stronger push from the other lane, and so that really not a good idea. Right here, I didn't really have anything solid. I used up the log, and the Goblin Barrel is going to get in there. Didn't have the zap ready either, so I've got 2 hard counters to the Goblin Barrel, but neither one of them are ready. And quickly, his tower's untouched. My tower on the left-hand side halfway, but check out this counter of my own. The Hog, the Mega Minion get in there. The Princess, great use of the Ice Golem. It does turn the Mega Minion around, and I only grab about 1,000 hit points off that tower, and he's way ahead going into the last minute 30 or so of this battle. So elixir counting back up. You can see I've got a couple of an elixir advantage right here. Going to go ahead and use the Barbarians, but this time I'm going to split them right down the middle. Here comes the Goblin Barrel. There it is. Well-timed log. They don't get a single strike on the tower, so that works out. That takes a little practice. I'm getting better at it. And now, going to go ahead and try to accompany the Barbs on the right-hand side with the Hog Rider. This time he does get to the tower, and we are going to get some shots off. I think that probably my opponent was expecting me to go left. Obviously, the damage was already done on that left side of the tower. Now, his log, better than mine. His log able to one-shot my poor level 5 princess. So, man, I really want to get a log worked up here. Now, here comes the Hog Rider, the Goblin Barrel. Log works out again. This time, the Barbarians take out the Hog Rider. The log does a good job. So the log, great in that respect, just not ideal, my little ghetto log against a level 5 princess. So my hog gets in one more time. Here comes another log. This time, no good counters up. But luckily, his barrel was off-center. You see that? All 3 goblins deployed in front of the tower, and so did the Barbs, and that was a huge one for me. The Barbs not having to chase all the way around the tower to get rid of the rest of the Goblin Barrel goblins. The Hog Rider just about to get in there. Here comes yet another Goblin Barrel. Got zap ready this time, stopping that one, and it's close. Down to the final 10 seconds. It looks like we are going into overtime. Both left towers just about identical, and both of us using Hog Riders to try to get to the opponent, both using logs as well. Now I'm slightly behind. Got to worry about these fire spirits. In comes the Ice Golem. Another barrel, and this time centered, and there it is. There's the problem. The Barbs take forever to get to the back of the tower. I just about lose the tower. It doesn't look good here. In fact, I'm history if he had any sort of direct damage spell, but he doesn't. He only has the log. Here comes a big push. The hog, the log, everybody getting in there. Right there, that does it. Somehow, miraculously, I am able to hold off that last minute push. No lightning, no fireball, and grab another win over yet another Nova Canada player. Again, shout out to these guys for being such good sports. Shout out to you for sticking around all the way to the end of this video. You guys are truly #Galafan members, and I appreciate every last one of you. Hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and of course, please do come back again tomorrow for more full attacks.
I've been known to win trade with my silk